Happy September, Labor Day. It's the first weekend of the NFL. That's why I'm wearing my Chicago Bears hat. Go Bears. The Green Bay Packers are poison to the NFL and society and should be burned to the ground. I hope they go 0-17. But welcome into the Fourth Mother Box. We are live here right now. Yes, I am a mother now, as Kyle would say. I'm just going to get that out of the way because I know he's chomping at the bit to get that joke in. But I am Tom Oaker. You are following us at Fourth Mother Box on Instagram, Fourth Mother Box on TikTok, YouTube.com/Fourth Mother Box. Joining me as always, brother from another mother. He's going to be at Disneyland. We're going to talk about another character appearance there at Disneyland later today. Kyle Cosentino. Kyle, how the hell are you today?
I'm doing great, and yes, you are a mother now. You and Brad could form a mom's group.
We could do Two Cool Moms podcast again, where we could just give our best impressions of Joe Gatto and Steve Byrne.
Hey, well, it would certainly give Brad another reason to make another Instagram account.
Brad, if you're listening to this, I want you to make an Instagram account for a parent podcast for you and I, where you and I just shoot the shit. I'm serious. Let's do it. We can make fun of Kyle for 45 minutes. Lord knows we'll have content.
Yeah, you'll have nothing.
You're the gift that keeps on giving, Kyle, just like your mother. Oh, yeah. Got him. That's one.
Yeah, I'm sure the people have been just, chomping at the bit, have been like dying to hear a mother joke. Because it's been a while, right? It's been a minute.
Yeah, I've like half caught up with what Jedi Talk has done without me being there, other than screwing the audio up and not posting on Instagram. It's going okay over there.
Yeah, they suck. Man, who do they think they are? The Fourth Mother Box?
I know. We're the farts and diarrhea and screw up podcast over here. But no, I'm sure Brad was recording through his recorder, and it's so stupid. Like there's two files that have to get put together, and then I added my thoughts into there. So, and we're going to talk a lot about Ahsoka today, but and we didn't really miss a week here. I hope you enjoyed our top 10 attractions out there. That we recorded like a month and a half ago. That was a fun 30 minutes or so. You're real close, man, to going to Disneyland, and they just announced today at Disneyland West, Batu West, for a limited time. You've got General Hera Syndulla with her droid Chopper. Limited time meet and greet. Kyle, you've got to meet them for us because they're not coming.
Yeah, I'm going to try my
Disney
best.
World.
I mean, you guys will have to keep me posted if you hear anything on the Star Wars fans. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know if you guys have like a secret cult group that meets up. I know Evan probably does for like the Halcyon members that are probably going to like storm the capital of Disney World.
They're going to go to Anaheim and storm the Capitol. Bring the Halcyon back.
Yeah. We all know that Evan's going to be, what was the guy with the Viking hat on? Whoever that dickhead was.
Oh yeah.
That's Evan. That's going to be Evan.
What's he going to wear? He's just going to wear like a D309 mask, or he's going to paint his face like Captain Kevin.
I'm sure. I'm thinking Slave Leia bikini.
That's not the Halcyon though. Maybe like Gaia get up. He'll dress like Gaia.
But wait, I thought Anakin and what? Well, actually, no. That would be wrong. I don't know. Well, how far into canon does the Halcyon exist?
Oh my God, High Republic era. I know Barriaga, who's I always fuck up his name. He's a Wookiee Jedi, I believe. He was on the Halcyon. Anakin Skywalker fought Asajj Ventress on there. There's actually lightsaber marks. I don't know if I ever sent you that picture. I took a picture of the lightsaber marks on the Halcyon itself, where Anakin and Asajj Ventress had a lightsaber fight, like on the Halcyon, in the actual atrium. This is the comic book.
Anakin's had a epic lightsaber fight with a lot of people.
He has. Anakin Skywalker. Lots of people have been talking about him lately because, hey, spoiler alert, Kyle and I are going to talk about Ahsoka, right? We haven't necessarily missed much by way of news. We're going to talk about a little bit towards the end of the show from some DC news. It's been all quiet. James Gunn can't get his story straight on what he wants to talk about, or what's going on with the DC universe. There's still an actor strike going on, but stick around here because I want real quick, while I'm telling the people to stick around 5 minutes in because I'm going to make the case, and I want you to tell me if you agree with me why Ahsoka is already better than all 3 seasons of The Mandalorian. So go ahead, Kyle.
Oh, we're gonna jump right into it. Okay, well, yeah. So to start, I will certainly look for Ahsoka and Hera, right? When I get to
Ahsoka, Hera,
Disneyland.
Chopper, yes. I mean, and also you've got characters that we haven't seen yet at Disney World. You've got Boba Fett and Fennec Shand over at
Oh,
Disneyland.
so they haven't come to Disney World yet.
They haven't. The Mandalorian's the only one who has.
Wow. Well, hopefully I get to see. I mean, how are they real scarce? Because I feel like when I was there in Disney World, we didn't see Mando. Like it was like he was hiding or something.
Disneyland, you'll. This is how you know you're in a different park because Disneyland characters go so above and beyond Disney World characters. It's always been that way.
Really?
Yeah, it's always been that way.
Interesting.
Mhm.
Well, I'll certainly, it's again, I've said this before, like it's going to be a real experience for me because I haven't been there since I was a kid.
That's amazing.
Like it's just going to be a real blast from the past of nostalgia just being there again.
I'm excited for you and Izza. That's going to be awesome.
Seeing like, what I do remember, because I honestly don't remember much. And I know I'm going to have a blast because it's kind of where it's all started, and that's really, that's really awesome. It's like Walt Disney stepped foot in that park. So
that's
it'll
the
be
vibe.
really cool.
That's the vibe. You could feel it in that park, and people think I'm crazy when I say that, but I'm telling you, go to Disneyland and just sit there for a second. There's a vibe. It's different than World. It's different than Paris and all the other parks I've been to so far. When are you going to Disneyland again? I want to make sure that I've got that, so there'll be no fourth mother box for people, just FYI.
So I will be at Disneyland. I'll be in LA from the 20th to the 27th, and I'll be at Disneyland on the 21st, and then California Adventure on the 22nd.
All right, so look out for content on Fourth Mother Box pages on Instagram and TikTok. Kyle's gonna, he's not gonna ruin his vacation for it, but when he's feeling up to posting it, you'll see some shit, and hopefully you'll get to meet Hera and Chopper. I'm really excited for you there. So,
I'll also be doing the WB tour, which will have a shit ton of DC content, like vintage Batmobiles, and I mean, I hope I see. I've never seen a real Batmobile in real life, so I don't think I have. So I think it would be really cool just to like see it in person.
Which one's there? Whose?
I think the Tumbler is there.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure the Tumbler is there. I'm pretty sure the Adam West Batman one is there. Maybe even the Robert Pattinson one. So we'll see. I mean, I would imagine there's probably a lot of. I didn't want to like spoil anything for me, but I know there's like a big presence of DC like superhero stuff there. So I'm like really excited, really looking forward to it. So and not only that, Harry Potter. I mean, so it's gonna be I'm gonna have a field day there.
Yeah. How many times do you have to change your pants? They've probably got Henry Cavill's Superman suit like tucked away in the corner with like the light bulb burnt out. Like, there's over there. Henry Cavill.
Yeah, they probably put it like behind the dumpster because they're fucking dickheads.
And right behind that, it says Zack Snyder also directed a few things for us on like a plaque right behind that.
It's like that's the Zack Snyder exhibit. It's behind the dumpsters.
Now that's according to Warner Brothers, not the Fourth Mother Box.
No.
In name, we're pro Snyderverse. This was bred after the Puke and Diarrhea, Farts and Diarrhea podcast was after Zack Snyder's Justice League, 2 years running, and then some. We'll be here until we're not. But let's talk about Ahsoka. Holy shit! Kyle's gonna look out for Ahsoka when he's in Disneyland at the end of the month. And we're going to talk about the first 4 episodes thus far. So spoiler alerts for everybody who haven't seen it. If you haven't seen Ahsoka through these 4 episodes, first off, what the hell is wrong with you, okay? Get your hand out of the goddamn sand. Get yourself to Disney Plus. Pay for it. Steal it from your mom. I don't give a shit, You're a broke-ass college kid out there. Steal it from one of your siblings, the ones who your parents gave all the money to. The ones who they're sharing their passwords with. The ones who they don't have to worry about calling them in the middle of the night for money for an abortion. Get the passwords from them, okay? And then log on and watch Ahsoka because we're here to talk about it. But Kyle, what have you thought about this series thus far, overall?
Well, I feel like, I've said this in the past that I had really high hopes for this series, and it's really paying off because this is a really good show. I I kind of feel like, I wish I would have watched Rebels, and I don't think I could get through Clone Wars. I just don't think I could do that.
No, for
But,
this show thus
you
far,
know,
Rebels is where you need to be.
but it seems like, yeah, it seems like it's more connected to Rebels, and you could tell that there's a past between these characters and they're already establishing themselves, like, like you could just kind of see the connection that they have. And they're not just like background characters. Like they seem like they are prominent characters in this universe, and I think they have a lot of stories to tell. And it kind of like, I know Evan kind of talked about like how he liked how David Filoni didn't spoon feed what happened in Rebels. I mean, they give you a little bit of it, but I feel like the good thing that they're doing with it is they're basically saying, we're not going to tell you shit, but we're going to tell you enough to make you more interested to go back and look into it. And
Exactly.
so, and I think that's only, serving this world really well, because it's in today's world, it seems like a lot of franchises are, kind of in the gutter in the moment, I mean, DC had a horrible year, arguably the worst year of their life, with DC movies. Even you could probably even say the same with superhero movies in general. So
I mean,
I
outside
don't know.
of
It's a weird.
Guardians 3 almost made $1 billion. It was like 800 something million, I
That's
think.
true.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying that Barbie's a bad movie. It's not a movie for me. But it's like when a Barbie movie is like taking out a Marvel movie, and DC movies, and even Indiana Jones. Like, fuck,
I
you know,
know.
uh, they need to regroup and reconsider this world. And I feel like, we'll certainly get back to Ahsoka, but I listened to James Gunn recently talk on a podcast and about his vision for the future of DC. And he kind of talked about, like, again, like, he doesn't feel like there is superhero fatigue. He says that there's just not really effective world building and character writing. And I believe him. I really do. He said that it's not just necessarily superhero movies that this is kind of like that it exists. Like, it's happening across a lot of different franchises. I mean, look at the Lord of the Rings TV show that came out that was just terrible. You could just tell that, like, these companies just assume, which is, well, maybe a good part of it is Warner Brothers, because they've effectively are shitting on Harry Potter, they've shit on Lord of the Rings, they've shit on the DC universe. Like, they've been shitting hard, with the exception of the Batman. I mean, I don't know. It's like they're actively trying to ruin these franchises. In
Joker
any case,
included. That damn musical scares the hell out of me, but
oh God, yes. Um, But in any case, like, what I liked about what James Gunn said is, like, he really wants to bring back stories. He wants to bring back, he wants to do world building. And he said that, and I texted you this, but he talked about how he was approached with Superman a long time ago, and he
mhm.
said that he wouldn't do it because he didn't have a vision for it. And now, he only took it recently because he felt like he finally had a vision for Superman, something that is different, with a different aesthetic that we haven't seen before. And I think that seems promising. We know James Gunn is good at writing a film with, like, characters we don't have any idea about their background. We know he's good at writing like comedic based movies. We could even see like him write really emotionally driven movies like Guardians 3. I mean, still,
Mhm.
that movie is just like the ultimate gut punch.
Sure is.
So in any case, like, listening to this podcast, I feel a little bit better about them moving forward. I think, as much as I love the Snyderverse characters, I think it's wise to reset the universe. I don't think it's wise to, I'll never think it's wise to replace Henry Cavill, but I see the need to do it. I think hopefully that this again is a step in the right direction.
Yep. Agree with everything you said there. Because Ahsoka's taking a step in the right direction too. To segue back there.
Oh yeah, and going back to Ahsoka, uh, I would definitely say that like episode 4 was better than all of Andor and Boba Fett. That's how I felt. And let me say that like the cinematography was really cool in this episode. Like they were in some forest where there's like these red trees and it was on this different looking planet and there was like a lot of action and
Mhm.
lightsaber battles. So it was a really cool episode. And not only that, you had that epic scene between Anakin and Ahsoka, and what I later learned from Tom is the world between worlds.
Mhm.
And I knew as soon as she was there, and I heard that voice, I'm like, in walks Anakin Skywalker, which was really fucking cool.
And a
So
nice de-aged Anakin too. I like the way it looked.
yeah, that too. You absolutely.
Because first it makes it like they didn't make him animated or anything, but that's episode 3 Anakin. That's who Ahsoka remembers. That's her master. That's what he looked like. And it's just like what a cliffhanger. What a way to end an episode. Hot damn.
Yeah.
What a way to end an episode. That's how you get people like, oh, I want more. And Dave Filoni, claps all around. The guy, who doesn't get enough credit for Dave, and that's George Lucas. Like Dave is telling a lot of master and apprentice stories here. He's told the Anakin to Ahsoka one. Now he's telling Ahsoka to Sabine. But what we're kind of missing like the bigger picture here, and I think Dave is like writing a love letter to George in a sense, talking about like George is the master to Dave. Dave wouldn't have this opportunity without George. He didn't have this guidance and this mentorship, and he said it himself. There's an 8-minute special on Disney Plus about it called Master and Apprentice, and it touches the tiniest bit about George and Dave, but a lot of people give shit on George for. Outside of creating this universe, they shit on him for some decision he makes with Star Wars. But, without George, there's no Dave. And Dave Filoni is solely doing this with Ahsoka right now. And spectacular episodes. Agreed with Kyle. Episode 4, the most recent one, the best by far. I'm edging my seat. I can't wait for Tuesdays at 9 Eastern. It's just, and I like that Disney has made it like appointment TV again, right? That used to be the thing, right? The Simpsons were on at 7:30 on Sunday nights, and you had to catch that. Or, and then I don't know if you saw this, Kyle, for free. They're showing episode 5 of Ahsoka in some select theaters across the U.S.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that because I heard Brad talking about that on Jedi Talk that they were doing this. And I thought, like, that's really interesting and suspicious that they are doing that.
A little
So, do you have any
suspicious.
predictions?
I mean, it's Thrawn's coming. We're Thrawn. I can point to him on the video. You guys could see my figure of him up there. Grand Admiral Thrawn is coming. Episode 5. We're gonna get the big reveal. And god damn, do I love the way Ahsoka is using Thrawn. What a great way to use your big bad. Because even people who don't know him, the way Hera's been talking about him, Ahsoka's obsession with Thrawn, and Morgan Elsbeth's obsession in getting there, Balin needing Thrawn back for power, and everybody just being so concerned about getting this Chiss back, this Chiss that used to be a high-ranking official in the Empire, like remnants of the Empire out there, like the big bad. Everybody knows who Grand Admiral Thrawn is. Like they haven't shown him yet. We're in 5 episodes. It's just like Voldemort in the Harry Potter movies. And like using the T-Rex in Jurassic Park, you get like 9 minutes of screen time, but everybody's scared that the T-Rex could like be there at any moment. So we're definitely getting Thrawn in episode 5, and I cannot wait.
Yeah, I don't think they even like showed a picture. Did they show a picture of what he looks like?
He was in the trailer for a few seconds.
Okay, like he blue with red eyes.
Yep, in his white Imperial outfit.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Because, I think you guys were talking about this is like the next. This is going to be like he's going to be the next big bad of the future Star Wars, saga, whatever it is.
Yeah, at least movie, right? If there's going to be an Ahsoka season 2, Thrawn will be around. And then, because Dave Filoni is one of the 3 people that they announced for movies at Celebration, and him, the one that Rey's involved in with the Next Generation of Jedi, and then the beginning of the Force movie, right? But Filoni is in charge of wrapping up the Mando universe, that we'll call it unofficially, and it will all lead to this. I think there's rumors that it's being called that he's adopting the Heir of the Empire, which is a legend story. I think, is Heir to the Empire a Legend story, or did that officially become canon? Don't quote me on that. My phone's being used to record me, so I'm sorry, I don't know that. But he's basically following a structure there, and it's connected, and it's going to be canon now. But it's going to be, before. Pretty sure it's going to be before, like, The Force Awakens, or very close to that, and it's probably going to show the rise of the First Order as well. And I've been screaming this on Jedi Talk. This movie needs to come out first. With how well Dave Filoni knows Star Wars, this is how you bring the slave Leia bikini wearers who won't go online and bitch about it back into your balls, Disney. This is how you get the grasp back in the grasp. You put Dave's movie out first. Because I don't know what you criticize about Ahsoka. I don't.
I mean, it's been a good series so far. I mean, it's been real consistent. I mean, I think there's like a good blend of action, there's good characters, and there's a good villain. I mean, you really can't ask for much more out of a even TV series. So, and to go even further, I think this is if he truly is like the next big bad of like the next line of Star Wars movies, I think he seems like a good pick.
Mm-hmm.
Unlike Marvel, who picked Kane, who was like just there to me. It's like I'm not Thanos. We don't have to revisit this, but like Thanos is effective villain. Kang, I'm not afraid of him. I'm like don't care.
There's like a million of them. So yeah, I get it. But this is the Farts and Diarrhea podcast, but we're not talking about Marvel right now. So just it's like they're, I hate to call them B tier villains, but they're not. But like the new established antagonists like Balin Skull and Shin Hati, is it Hati? I don't know. And Morgan Elsbeth, who Morgan Elsbeth debuted in episode 6, The Jedi of The Mandalorian season 2. That's who Ahsoka had the battle with in the garden there, and that's where she was the one who arrested her, handed Morgan to the New Republic, and started looking for Thrawn, and gave the Mandalorian that nice little staff of Beskar, that like long weapon that he used, especially at the end of that season. So, God, it's just the connectivity is so great. I'm so happy that we're getting this content. This is exactly what we wanted and more. And just
So
yeah.
so can you tell me again the timeline of this?
Yep. So this is, I think it's easiest to understand is probably coincides with like the Mandalorian season 3 or a little bit after, which is several years before The Force Awakens. So right now, Ben Solo's,
that's what I thought.
Yeah, Ben Solo's a youngin' with Han and Leia. Luke's out there starting up his school. Yeah, the New Republic is trying to build stuff. So there's lots of other stuff going on too, right? And they're just filling it in for us. So this is a post Empire world, a little bit before our sequel trilogy.
So do you think Mando will show up with Grogu at all? Do you think he?
In Ahsoka? I hope not.
Yeah.
I hope not. They don't need it. They don't need to do it.
I mean, they don't. They really don't need that because I think Ahsoka could very well rival the Mandalorian, right? If it's continues to be this consistently good, it could, maybe even surpass the Mandalorian. I mean, seasons 1 and 2 were great, and season 3, I know, just was kind of okay. I mean, I think it was fine. I think there were good moments.
It was fine,
but it didn't kind of like connect as well as the first 2 seasons.
Should have been called the Bo-Katan, but she is a Mandalorian, so hey.
Yeah, like I think sometimes that's kind of interesting though. Like you start with this main character and then you transition, like you shift gears and maybe go a different direction where it's like it's not the same character.
Mm-hmm.
However, I don't know. I think whereas you can maybe transition with Mando, you can't really get rid of Grogu. I mean, Grogu's like such a huge hit in pop culture, right? A huge hit in the Star Wars world.
Right.
So I think if they were going to kind of make her front and center, at least Grogu has to be a part of that some
right.
way.
Sure. The only thing I could think of getting Grogu and all them or Mando involved is maybe towards the end of Ahsoka when they have it out with Thrawn and there's like a conflict that ends a certain way. Maybe Ahsoka is like, okay, we need more help. The New Republic's not going to help us. Hey, Din Djarin, Boba Fett, Fennec Shand, we need you or something. I don't know. I don't see this series ending on something like that. They might make mention of it, but it really doesn't need Mando yet. If they do a second season and they get closer to that movie that Filoni's doing, sure, toss him in. I wouldn't hate seeing Bo-Katan in this series though. I've kind of thought about that because Bo-Katan and Ahsoka have history there. So especially from Rebels and the Clone Wars, and the Mandalorian. So
well, they're working towards like kind of like a Star Wars Endgame, that'll actually be in the movie theaters, right?
yeah, that was what I was talking about earlier with Dave Filoni's movie. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the culmination of the Mando universe. So that's essentially this is like Star Wars' Endgame. Yeah, their Disney Plus series is that end in the movies. So this will be fun. This will be fun. And Kyle, you were kind of leaning that way, and I said before about 5 minutes into the show, and I'm going to definitively say it now: Ahsoka is already better than the Mandalorian, and here's why. So, first off, I want to preface this by saying I do not hate the Mandalorian. I do not at all. Hot damn, the Mandalorian is some grade A content, and Disney should pat themselves on the back. Kathleen Kennedy included, because her name's on it. You know, you gotta praise when you praise. Jon Favreau, fucking season 1 and 2 of The Mandalorian, perfect like combo, right? Season 1 had its moments where you're like, all right, what's going on here? And then season 2 was practically flawless with an ending nobody saw coming, just the culmination of so much and just leaving you wanting more. And then season 3, I think it's like when you end on such a high note, you can do anything in the next season and nobody's going to think that it's up to par. So I'd like to see how season 3 stands on its own, maybe like a year from now, and just kind of pick it up and watch it. But, but first off, the great things about the Mandalorian, and I jotted some notes down here before we started talking. So, the Mandalorian has mastered the art of the surprise, right? With two things specifically. Grogu. How the hell, again, was Grogu kept under wraps? You mean to tell me nobody spoiled a baby, whatever Yoda is? Like, whatever creature he is out there on the internet? That would have been huge. Because I remember seeing that episode and then having that reveal, like, what the hell? And, like, your mind's going all over the place. Like, when did Yoda and Yaddle fuck? And where has this been?
Huh.
So then, end of season 2, Luke Skywalker, right?
They fucked on the Halcyon
Yes,
like everybody
they did.
else.
Just like the Anakin and Padme love suite, Han and Leia love suite. Now you've got the Yoda and Yaddle love suite. You've heard it here first on the Fourth Moonbox podcast.
They moonlight as a couple's hotspot, right?
Commoner several times I did. You've got the surprise at Luke Skywalker. We've talked about it at nauseum. If just go watch the several minutes of that beautiful scene of him murking those dark troopers just to show up and save everybody. They've mastered the art of the surprise.
Now, what are people saying about this show? Because I haven't really read comments. I mean, are people kind of like on the same page as you, thinking it's a great show? I mean, it's a step in the right direction.
Yes, especially after episode 4, everybody's dicks are hard. Everybody's like ready to go with it. I've seen a few people, and I think these people are like anti-Snyder people. They're like, it's not colorful enough. I mean, like, they're on the planet Cetos. It's a Night Sister holdout. Like, calm down. The fucking space witches. Do you want it to be all colorful for you? You have a 12-year-old. But I haven't seen anybody bitch or rip on, like, calling it trash or like this is. And what's funny is I think we're not seeing that now because the people who want it to fail are sitting there watching it and they're just like, oh shit, this is actually pretty good. And they're just saying nothing. So I've seen a lot of great things.
Well, that's good. Yeah, because I could kind of see like maybe some people, potentially not liking you just because they don't know the history of these characters. But I think you kind of get enough information where you're like, okay, I get what's going on. I get what the end game is here. Even if you didn't know the past of like how these characters met and what that story is about.
Right, 1,000%. Um, Speaking of characters, with the Mandalorian, you get the luxury of establishing a brand new character from the start, who Jon Favreau started with in 2019 with the launch of Disney Plus. We got Din Djarin, this Mandalorian that we're learning a little bit about every week, and you're falling in love with him because Grogu, or Baby Yoda, as he was known at the end, was at the end of the first episode. Everyone wanted to know what went on from here, right? So, but with the Mandalorian universe, you have more room and that luxury for new characters, right? Like we met Cara Dune, we met Fennec Shand, I think was debuted here. Oh, I always see confused if she was in the Clone Wars or not. I know she was in Bad Batch, so I'm pretty sure she debuted in Mando. But we get these new characters, right? And we get these new planets, and there's other stuff to explore, which is really cool. But with the Mandalorian, it didn't give us some of what we really love and what's different about Star Wars, which are Jedi and Sith, right? Like, how cool is it wielding the Force? I have all these lightsabers here in front of me. I don't just collect them because I like sticking them up my ass. I collect them because I like Jedi and Sith. And with the Jedi and Sith, in Ahsoka, you get that. Right from the get-go, you've got two in the middle Jedi, and then Ahsoka and Sabine's learning, and that we're getting lightsaber battles every week. And like, we got a badass like combo lightsaber battle that or right before that, when Ahsoka and Sabine took out those assassin droids in last episode. That was so badass. In Ahsoka, you get an immediate connection to the characters because they have an established backstory. With Mando, right, you're learning about them, but that's not a bad thing. I just think with Ahsoka, it's easier to pick up and take off, and you can do all these things, and you can do more with the Jedi in this show. Rebels gives you context in Ahsoka where the and people do bitch about Ahsoka saying, right, and Kyle talked about it earlier, but he nailed it when he said, they don't spoon feed it to you. If you want to go watch Rebels, then go watch it. Like, right, Kyle, wouldn't you say you've kind of got a drive to watch at least a little bit of Rebels now?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I certainly want to, give it a try. There hasn't been really anything Star Wars animated that I've gotten into thus far. So I hope that, when I watch Rebels, especially with all the acclaim that you guys have given it, that changes my, changes it
Yeah.
for me.
Did you like Tales of the Jedi?
That was okay. I mean, it was fine. I mean, it's certainly more interesting than, the Clone Wars or anything else I've seen.
The Count Dooku
I'm not
stuff
even
was,
gonna.
yeah.
I'm not even gonna try and watch Visions because just
Yeah,
no.
don't. That's right. Yeah, don't. I couldn't stomach the second season. I didn't even start it. So Mando is great because you a lot of people connect to the father-son relationship that Din and Grogu have, right? That's something any parent could relate to a child, right? So that's where they have the connection there. What you lose in Mandalorian, what starts to make me like Ahsoka better, and right, we've only gotten 4 episodes of Ahsoka. I get that, but hear me out. The ceiling is way higher in Ahsoka. There's so many side missions with the Mandalorian, like they're going here to do this, that maybe might advance the plot a little bit, because at the end you'll get 2 minutes of Moff Gideon doing something, right? That, next week will be lit. And then they run into Frog Lady and they got to help her crack her eggs or something. So then with Ahsoka, the ceiling is so high with all of these rich, the luxury of these characters, it just doesn't feel to me, at least to me right now, that they're going to have episodes that, and some people have called episode 3 that. I disagree. We got a lot of great stuff, especially with Hera in front of Mon Mothma, right? And some other people are saying that they're calling that a filler episode, but I just don't feel like it'll happen with Ahsoka, right? And it could be recency bias. It really could be, but just hear me out. There's richer opportunity in Ahsoka for big moments, too. What happened at the end of episode 4 of Ahsoka, I think, is just as big, if not bigger, than the Luke moment. Because you've got former master Anakin Skywalker with his Padawan Ahsoka Tano, who she hasn't seen since getting her lightsabers back from as Anakin at the end of Clone Wars, right before she used him to fight Maul. She hasn't seen him since then. And she specifically said, Anakin never finished my training. So you have to think, is Anakin going to finish her training in the world between worlds? How badass would that be?
Okay, explain to me again, like, what is the world between worlds?
We don't quite know yet. So let me explain it to you what happened in Rebels, which is how we were introduced to this. So in season 4 of Rebels, they're making kind of like a last stand, and they're on Lothal, and the Empire are trying to get into this temple on Lothal. They're trying to drill into it. They can't figure out how to open it because they're not light side force users. So they're basically using power and resources just to try to get into it. And there's this mural of Mortis, the father, the son, and the daughter, which is a callback from Clone Wars, but they're physical representations of the Force. And there's this mural of them with Loth wolves next to it. Ezra's there undercover, dressed up as a stormtrooper with Sabine, who's also dressed up as she's like an Imperial pilot, I believe. And then Ezra is looking at it because he's trying to get in, so the Empire to stop the Empire to close the temple out. He doesn't want them finding any secrets, right? Doesn't want the Emperor getting any secrets. So he gets to this mural and figured out this him and Sabine are looking at it because they know it's a way into the temple, or it's something. And Ezra's looking at it, and they both and Ezra figures out how to open it because he reads it a little bit different. He's force sensitive, so the Loth wolves start running in a circle, and that's the entrance into this portal. And Ezra gets in, and he's just randomly in what he calls the world between worlds. So he immediately hears Obi-Wan Kenobi's voice. He hears Yoda. I think Mace Windu's in there. Lots of other Jedi, and then he hears Rey's voice too, because this is around the time the sequel trilogy was coming out. So then he's just walking around, and there's these different portals to different things. And he's walking around, and he's looking at everything, and he finally gets to one that Morai, Ahsoka's owl, is hanging on top of, and he's like, Ahsoka? And he looks in, and it's a callback to the end of Season 2 where Ahsoka's fighting Darth Vader. It's the last time Ezra saw her. So Vader, who Ahsoka had figured out in that moment was Anakin, goes to basically, it looks like he's about to kill Ahsoka, right? It looks like she's about to die. I mean, the both of them are in trouble, but Vader survives because he's Darth fucking Vader. So Ezra freaks out, and he puts his hand through the portal, and he pulls Ahsoka out of danger. And the both of them are there in the world between worlds. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but the two of them fight Palpatine because Palpatine's trying to recruit Ezra in the world between worlds. But then finally, as the both of them are leaving, Ezra tries to get Ahsoka to come back with him to his time, but she says no. Basically, you can come help us, you can come do this and come do that. And Ahsoka's like, no, I can't do that, right? She doesn't feel like that's right. But Ezra says, come find me, as they're leaving and running out together. So the world between worlds right now is mysterious. I have a feeling that Anakin saved her again, that she was saved again and pulled within the world between worlds as she was falling off that cliff.
Interesting.
I want to know why Anakin's there. Did he find the world between worlds and not tell anybody? And is this a moment in time? Because I've seen a lot of people say that they're going to reset the universe with this. I think you people are furthest from the truth with that. What, they reset the universe and everything in the sequel trilogy just did and everything after that did not happen? I don't. Disney's not going to do that.
Oh, that would be dumb.
You can't do that.
And I don't know. I just feel like the sequel trilogy, it just gets a lot of unfair hate. It just does.
It does.
It's almost kind of like they could have done anything and people would have hated it.
Mm-hmm, pretty much. Pretty much. So, yeah. So they're there, and I hope we learn more about the world between worlds because it's a pretty mysterious place. So here's why Ahsoka's ceiling is so high. You've got richer opportunity for big moments like fucking Anakin Skywalker and Ahsoka Tano in live action. My number 1 and my number 3 Jedi together. All I need is Cal Kestis to show up and we're cool. We're cool. Um, what's cool about The Mandalorian was it expanded on Mandalorian culture, and it's more appealing, I think, to new Star Wars fans. It's easier to get into. Because you do have to have a little bit of established knowledge before going to an Ahsoka, but that's fine. It makes this show so much better. And oh no, you got to watch fantastic Star Wars content before, right? Ahsoka's got a way more menacing villain than the Mandalorian does.
It's true.
I think, I don't know, season 3 of the Mando, I liked the use of Moff Gideon, but then I didn't at the same time. Like there wasn't enough. Like there wasn't. I don't know. And Ahsoka, and this is why Ahsoka shatters the ceiling and is above me already, above The Mandalorian for me, all 3 seasons, these 4 episodes of Ahsoka, and I fucking love The Mandalorian. But Ahsoka will single-handedly take Star Wars into the next phase, right? Past the sequel trilogy. It's going to take us into what the future will look like. Right, they're in a time period that already happened, right? It's not the present Star Wars time of after Rise of Skywalker. But I think this is going to establish what we're to expect out of Star Wars moving forward, if that makes sense. So tell me I'm wrong. Let us know and comment. Tell me I'm wrong, but Ahsoka, I'm here for it, and I'm so happy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's certainly it's different too. You kind of get a different feel from it. And I
Yes.
think it's a step in the right direction. I'm sure there's like Star Wars fans that'll probably find a problem with it, before it ends or when it ends, but I think this is you're absolutely right. It's made me more interested in Rebels, so I definitely want to go back and watch it like I was saying. So because you kind of like I could just see how much more you, Brad, and Evan would appreciate this than somebody like
Yes.
me who hasn't seen Rebels. So
Mm-hmm.
shame on me.
No, that's fine. That's the fun part about it. It's there, so go watch it. So, that wraps up Ahsoka. We'll talk more about that in the future as these episodes go on. But I want to kind of transition over to Blue Beetle. Just made $100 million at the box office. Kyle is the only one of the two of us that saw it. So, Kyle, please, Blue Beetle thoughts.
It only made 100 million.
I think just recently is what I saw. Yeah, it might be a little bit more than that.
So I would think it would have to be more than that. Like,
I'm gonna look it up right now. And no, don't worry about dead air or anything, Kyle. I'm looking it up right now.
okay. Um, yeah, I mean, I know it didn't do well. I know it was kind of like, which is kind of shocking because as you might recall, there was a lot of buzz about this movie.
Right.
People, were kind of like pointing out the fact that when the trailer hit, there was a lot more views of this one than The Flash, which was really shocking and surprising. And, this is like, me being the one that has seen it, like I thought it was a good movie. Like I'm not being a fanboy about this. I'm not saying this like changed the game or it was something different than what we've seen with other superhero movies. It's not. But, it was funny, it was cool. It's like kind of like a different, it's like a different superhero that we've seen. I think it's kind of like if Iron Man, in a way, was in the DC universe. This is kind of what he would look like, but in a very different way. I mean, it's like it's not like the armor is sentient. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
it's its own. It's like it's this entity that attaches itself to Jaime Reyes, and it's like he can transform its body into any sort of weapon. Like it can create weapons, it can become a weapon. It was a cool plot. Like there's
Sweet.
no big major villain. They had, I think, Susan Sarandon was the major villain, which again, like I don't know why DC keeps thinking like let's go with an old lady as an old like the big bad villain. Um,
We need
And
to be
even
done
so,
with the
like it
fight
was
by
still a good
4.
movie.
I have
Like
to
I
make it
think
to
it
early
was
bird dinner.
it had its moments. It was certainly funny. Like I think that was the thing that stuck out to me. It's like it had a good sense of humor, to the point of like where they didn't overdo it, but they didn't like underuse it either. So the characters were really good. The grandma was funny and really good. I'd even go as far as saying that George Lopez's character was really good. Not I'm not saying George Lopez is good, if that makes sense.
All right,
So
that's fair. Kind of like Ezra Miller in The Flash.
yeah, this is kind of like an Ezra Miller in The Flash, although I think Ezra Miller's maybe a bit worse in a lot of ways. So
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah. Mhm.
but then I don't know. Kevin Spacey was cleared after all this time of us thinking he was a scumbag piece of shit. Maybe he still is. I have no idea, but I I guess like isn't it interesting how you could just ruin someone's career? Trump, come up with some trumped up charges against somebody
You said
and
Trump's up,
like
sure.
then they have to like just sit and marinate in that for years. It's kind of blows.
Um, yeah.
Sucks for them. I mean, I would imagine it's like horrible. Like
Yeah.
it killed Kevin Spacey's career.
I've been trying to ruin
Um,
your career for years, and it's just I'm swinging a miss every time. So
oh, don't worry. I'm gonna do that myself.
okay,
And so it's you don't have to do a thing.
very good, very good. Yeah, I'm on at least through Wikipedia right now. I'm looking. The budget for Blue Beetle was 104 million. Box office is 105.8 million.
Oh my God. That is abysmal. What the fuck happened? Like it's just collectively society got together and just said, we're not seeing anything DC. We're just
Well, where's this going? Like DC, like James Gunn has been confusing as fuck. He's like Blue Beetle will be a part of the extended universe, but this movie won't be. Well, so then,
but I don't think that's necessarily like I think it's a thing, but I don't think that's everything because the Batman isn't a part of like any major universe. Neither is the Joker. The Joker is its own thing.
you're
You know,
literally you're comparing different things here. The Batman and the Joker are on
but
different levels in Blue Beetle, man.
oh well,
Yeah,
absolutely. I'm just saying is like if it's an interesting movie, but then again, those are tentpole characters, so I guess maybe it's unfair to compare them.
yeah.
But I don't know. I just think if it's an interesting movie, people will go see it. Like I don't. I'll never understand this. This is a weird year for movies in general, other than Barbie. It's like it just doesn't make sense. And now, it's kind of confirmed that critics are being paid off.
Oh
There
yeah,
was
talk
a
about
report
this.
that came out not too recently that indicated that the movie Ophelia was had some critics that were paid off, and this was reflected in the Rotten Tomatoes reviews of it. I know it's an aggregate, I know it's not Rotten Tomatoes, but I'm just saying critics were being paid off by a company to write more favorable reviews for this movie. And not that we didn't all know that this exists. I mean,
Right?
let's be
Yeah.
fair. I mean, I'm looking at you, Marvel, because there's so many movies that have came out that did not deserve a good review, just didn't. Okay, and it got one. And it's just surprising how a lot of the DC movies have gotten a bad review. Again, Man of Steel just deserves all the highest of praises. So I don't care what anybody says. They're wrong. They're 100% wrong about
Wrong.
that.
So wrong.
So
So that's interesting, and that movie's got Daisy Ridley in it. I haven't seen it, but like
I don't
what?
even know what it's about, but I know that Daisy Ridley is in it, and I just think like, I'm just a fan of like let something fail on its own, or let something just like succeed on its own merits. I think it's like people hate Captain Marvel, so they got to go write a bad review about it. Like, let it just fail on its own merits. Like, it objectively wasn't a great movie. Maybe some people liked it. I don't know,
Well,
but
it
to
made
me,
over a
it was
billion
like
dollars, so
uh,
people went and saw it.
people. Well, people. Let's be real. Like, people went to see it because they thought it was connected to Endgame, which it really wasn't. And
It was
it's like
not.
people were
Yeah,
pissed and disappointed that they sat 2 hours in this
I
movie and
remember that.
it like meant nothing.
That's right. Wasn't this movie came out like a little bit like March before Endgame, right? Oh, I remember that.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
right. That's right.
Because it's the only time I've
Ooh,
seen it,
smart move by
and
Marvel.
you know, I don't know. I mean, I think well, I'll say this, like, to its credit, I think the Marvels looks more interesting than the original. I mean, they have some different characters in there, so you don't have to rely on Brie Larson's bland version of Captain Marvel. So I don't know if I'm going to like go see it or just wait for it on Disney Plus. I mean, I don't know, like, again, they're just like using like any villain. I'm just like, Marvel has such a rich roster of like characters that they can use to their
Right.
benefit and like stories, but they're just like, like they don't.
Right.
It's like they're not. It's like they've gotten so used to big budget movies, and now they're realizing that these movies aren't doing well. So they hopefully are stepping up their game, and maybe we'll get another Marvel movie 10 years from now when the writer strikes in. So
That's fine. All their Disney Plus shows like Echo and something else are being pushed back. I think Agatha. I don't know why they're doing that one. God, I don't know why they're moving forward with that. So two more quick things. Kyle, I was on Max today. I was actually watching Spaceballs, just kind of chilling. And I saw that The Flash was like number one. It was trending. It's like what everybody was watching on Max. It's like if you go down and see like those lists, The Flash was number one right there, with a bunch of newer stuff that released. But what is it, Internet? Do you like The Flash or do you don't? Like, make up your mind.
and to kind of bring it back to Ophelia, right? Critics being paid off to promote a movie. Here's an example of something that just, is a bit fishy because, I've seen this on Vudu. If you go on like Vudu, the app Vudu right now, it's like you could buy movies. You'll see like there's, what is it, 70,000 people or more, 100,000 people have rated this movie like 5 stars or more. And again, this is a good movie. Is the CGI a little bit bad? Yeah, it is. Okay, so we can give it that. But it's not enough to say that this was like a terrible movie. I mean, it just wasn't. But then I'm seeing articles where it's saying the opposite of what you just said, where it's like,
Yeah,
oh, the Flash isn't getting a lot of streams. The Flash is not performing well even digitally. And then I hear
it
that
is.
on Max, and I don't believe that to be true, like, at all. I think it is doing really well and people are watching it. I just think maybe there was a concerted effort to maybe take this movie
Yep.
down in some ways.
Yep.
I mean, I think it worked for Indiana Jones. They released they released this movie at Cannes, and then all these critics just tore it to pieces for some reason. And then we sat with that knowledge for,
Oh, I
was that,
know.
like 2 months before the
Yeah.
film dropped,
Yeah.
and that we got the result that we did.
We sure did.
So
Yeah, I
it's
liked it.
interesting. It is interesting.
Um,
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I kind of have the approach of the horror movie approach, to
yeah,
movies now. If you look at any horror movie, most horror movies anyway, it always gets a bad review. Like, horror movies just get destroyed at the box office always. You can never really trust a horror movie review. And so it's why, like, if the trailer looks good, you should just go see it because the critics are never ever going to really promote a horror movie in any way.
that's true.
Not usually.
Yeah.
So,
And we don't want to get Kyle started about Halloween ends. So, but we'll end it
oh
on a
yeah.
positive point here. Something I just discovered in Arkham City. So, in the beginning of Arkham City, Kyle and I know these games extremely well. Apparently, I don't know Arkham City that well, but I don't even know if Kyle knows this, and he might. But, and this isn't a secret by any means. I just kind of saw a random YouTube video about it. But in the beginning, when you're Bruce Wayne and you're walking through the jail, like the outskirts of Arkham City, you see Deadshot, you see Roman Sinus. Then there's a third villain or slash person that you interact with in the game that's actually there. When you get out of that like elevator and Jack Ryder's getting his ass handed to him by the characters at the end while you like break out of the chains, if you look up, Azrael is looking at you on top of one of the buildings, and then he disappears. Did you know this?
Was this in Arkham Asylum or Arkham City?
Arkham City, Arkham City.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah, because you really don't see Azrael until Arkham Knight.
no, you have a full on mission with him in Arkham City.
Wait a minute. It's been a minute since I played Arkham City.
Yeah, Azrael, you like meet him in 5 different spots, and you have to like
Oh, that's right.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. I got mixed up.
But when you're playing, like I'll send you the YouTube video. It's I didn't even notice. It's actually pretty cool, and like he doesn't even play like a really big role in the game. He's a side mission, but it's still cool. So
It was kind of like Hush, and I loved that's what I loved about those games is that
yes.
they planted stuff that in some of the games that they weren't going to use in that particular game, but they were saving it for a later game. So I loved how they did that. That was so
Mm-hmm.
cool.
Mm-hmm. I was looking at a video the other day about Arkham Knight. This will be the last thing we say, and we'll wrap it up. That somebody discovered like a room that they thought was going to be, because there was like a confirmed side mission for Victor Zsasz that they cut out of Arkham Knight, and this person thinks they found the room that you were going to do it in, but the room itself actually looked more like Clayface was chilling in there, and they were going to do something with him. So it's crazy stuff in
Interesting.
those games. Yeah, so much detail. But you guys have been great. We have been Fourth Mother Box. Again, follow us at Fourth Mother Box on Instagram and TikTok. YouTube.com/Fourth Mother Box, where you're seeing our ugly mugs. Subscribe. We're getting closer to 100. When we get to 100 subscribers, Kyle promised he'll jump off of this year's tower. So mash that subscribe button. But if you're new to the Fourth Mother Box, you've got to sit through one of Kyle's final thoughts. It's just ritual here. So, Kyle, take it away.
Well, I was actually going to ask you, did you have any final thoughts for our good buddy Joe, given that he made that wonderful video uh,
Well,
last weekend?
well, first off, I know you were encouraging Man Bud Miller over there to pump his meat to his bike. It's probably one of the only things he's getting off to these days is his bicycle, because he's always posting pictures of it and all the caves that he's sleeping in overnight. So that's okay. Doesn't mean anything to him. Joe looks like he's having fun over there, pumping his dick up to his around his little bicycle. And maybe your final thoughts could be about one of your bicycle dates with Joe.
I mean, they're pretty fun, but they're not as fun as dates with your mother.
You're just a horrible human being. And ladies and gentlemen, I will close it out. And actually, I've muted Kyle so you can't hear anything, and I've shut my Chromebook. So I will close it out today. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to get a part of a pool of when my daughter, who's just a week and a half old, gets taller than Kyle, hit us up at Fourth Mother Box. You guys have been great. Thank you as always.